Now I'd like to share with you the process for reviewing an EMG View recording. From the Windows desktop, I'm going to click on the EMG View icon to launch EMG View. Click on the green button here to accept the terms of use. And now I'm presented with the opening menu. And I'm going to choose to start a playback file. And I'm going to load it from a location on my desktop where I saved the playback file previously while recording. So I'm going to click the Start Playback button. And now you'll notice that EMG View has added a set of playback controls here on the bottom that were not present during recording or monitoring. I'm going to go ahead and move over to this control that's a play button, and I'm going to press play. And now what you see here is the surgery beginning to be played back, or the recording played back over the PC. And what you'll note here is that the battery setting, the impedance measurements, as well as the settings for the gain and the stimulation will all be recorded here. Additionally, down in the playback area, you'll note that there are horizontal bars, 4 of them, labeled Most Recent, Comments, Cap Events, and Playback. I'm going to start with the bottom one because that's the most fundamental area of the playback file. And the reason I say that is this blue bar here represents the position in time of your playback. So the beginning of the playback started over here, and at this point the blue bar represents that we've played possibly about 1/5 of the entire playback file, which terminates over here on this end. So once the blue bar has progressed all the way across, we'll know that we've viewed 100% of the playback file. Next, I'm going to move to the very top bar. And there where it says Most Recent, you'll see some text appearing in the white bar. That text indicates whether the test button on the Nirvana was depressed or if a comment had been entered during the recording. What I mean by that then is if the user had pressed the comment button while recording and typed a comment into EMG View, that comment was saved. And at the point in the playback file when that comment is added in time, it will appear here in the most recent comment bar. Below that, we have an indicator bar that's labeled comments that tells you with little marks, either black or white, where the comments occurred during the case. The white marks are text comments, and the black lines or marks indicate that the test button of the Nirvana was depressed. That's often a nice way to mark a significant event, is to just press the test button, and that'll leave a black mark along the playback timeline. The last horizontal bar to mention is the third one down, and it's labeled Cap Events. And what that will tell you is where a significant event or an alarm event from the Nirvana occurred. Typically at the beginning of the case, when the surgeon is first approaching the nerve, there isn't much significant data. And so it's handy to be able to look along here and see that a series of significant cap events were grouped together, and that tells you that's probably the part of the surgery that's the most relevant to be reviewed. And that brings me to the final point that I'd like to make, and that is you can jump to and view a particular point in the surgery through some controls that I'll share with you now. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to pause my playback file, and you can see my blue bar has quit advancing and my screen isn't changing. And what I'm going to do now is the blue bar is still there. If I were to push play, it would continue to play from that point. But I'm going to do something different. I am going to click on the stop button in the far right, and you notice the blue bar disappeared. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move something that I haven't yet pointed out. There's a green bar here on the playback at the beginning, and there's a red bar at the end. Those indicate the start point for the playback and the end point. By default, the start and end points are the beginning and the end of your recording. However, you can change that to review a specific part of your surgery that's most relevant. I'm going to do that now. I'm going to come over here, and in this bottom white playback bar, I'm going to left click, that's my typical mouse click, right there. Now what's happened is that green bar has shifted. Next thing I'm going to do is over here, I'm going to right click just beyond it and shift the red bar from the end over to here. Now I have a very small area which happens to coincide with many cap events that I'm going to review in more detail. Now going back down and clicking on the play button, you can see that now I'm getting data changing across my screen. This is part of my playback file. And you now note that the blue bar is advancing, my cap light's flashing, I see stimulation full. This is where something significant happened during the surgery. And now the blue bar has stopped advancing because it reached the red line. That's the end point that I moved up. The last thing I want to show you is how to reset the start and stop points. Let's say now that I would like to go back and review something from the beginning of the case. The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to click stop. You'll notice that when I do that, the blue bar disappears. That allows me to reset my start and stop points. I'm going to go to this first control button over here in the Playback Controls. It's an arrow in the shape of a circle. When I click on that, the start and stop points are reset, and when I push play or click on the play button, you'll notice here now I'm seeing data transmitted, the line's beginning to move, and my blue bar starts advancing now again from the beginning of the recording. So that's a good overview of the playback features. Thank you.